Hi, everyone. Welcome to our MSP session. My name is Tracy Vo. I'm head of client solutions and innovation. I'm also a customer success manager here at Rezolve.ai. I'm here with Matt. Matt, would you like to introduce yourself first?
Sure. I'm Matt Ruck. I'm the director of the MSP Business Practice for Rezolve.ai. Quick 10 seconds about me. I used to run an MSP for 28 years, an MSP called Design Data out of Washington, D.C. Grew that business to north of 100 engineers and sold that business, partnering with Rezolve AI to deliver Gen AI solutions and agentic AI solutions to the MSP community. So thanks for having me, Tracy.
Great. Thanks so much. So we would like to dig into how engineers can benefit from what we're about to show you here. But first question is, so what are some real world quantifiable results in AI for MSPs?
Yeah, thanks, Tracy. So first off, when I go around and I speak to different MSPs and their owners, their executives, their COOs, their service desk leaders, the MSP community is struggling with adopting things that actually are going to meaningfully affect operations. The quantifiable results tend to be the MSPs that focus in a couple of different areas. Number one, engineer efficiency is the name of the game. So the number one cost of revenue for any MSP is labor. It's the engineers that are working on tickets for their customers. And we want to make those engineers much more efficient than they are today. And if we can give back to an engineer, anywhere between a half hour to an hour and a half's worth of troubleshooting time when they're working on tickets, that's meaningful. If you aggregate that across, an MSP that's got 15 engineers and you multiply that, all of a sudden you're saving real time and real money. So that tends to be a really good use case. Others, we can help managers and executives with AI-driven insights. How are their engineers performing? Are their clients happy? Can we help them prepare ahead of time for a client business review or a QBR, a quarterly business review, depending on how you guys refer to it at your practice? So there's all sorts of tools that we implement for MSPs that help managers and executives too, with essentially giving them insights, AI-driven insights into engineer health, client health, that sort of thing. Those tend to be the two biggest use cases. And then there's a ticket deflection component, Tracy. So the third use case is going to be empowering AI agents at the client level, at the end user level that they're supporting, where Rezolve's an industry leader here of essentially ticket deflection, reducing ticket load, enabling and empowering the end user community to self-resolve some of those issues. So that's sort of bucket 1, 2, and 3.
Great. Thank you for mentioning all that. Now, we want to focus on, why Resolve spend the time to connect with ConnectWise. So can you explain more about that? Why did we spend so much time with integration with ConnectWise?
Yeah, so currently on our MSP side of the house, ConnectWise is the most common PSA that we see in the market. And I'm not going to throw out numbers, but they clearly have market share. And deep integration with ConnectWise Manage PSA is really important. We integrate both inside ConnectWise Manage as a tool inside the app, as well as we have an app that connects into ConnectWise Manage for some of the same use cases and some that are different. But integrating with ConnectWise Manage, IT Glue, IT Boost, Hoodoo. We also, are going to be announcing an integration with Halo PSA that is now up and running, as well as ServiceNow. So some of the largest ITSPs and MSPs run ServiceNow, ITSM. And then eventually, hopefully by the end of Q1 2026, we're also going to integrate with Autotask, the Kaseya product. But yeah, ConnectWise being the market leader was our very first integration, and we have a very deep integration with Managed PSA.
I see. Great. Very interesting. And then, so when it comes to knowledge, I've noticed, working with the different MSP clients, that there is a tendency to be reluctant to build AI because they worry about how good their internal documentation is. So, whether they're using IT Glue or SharePoint or Hoodoo Boost, they are wondering, how, if they should proceed or wait to build AI on top of their current internal documentation, which may not be very good.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that question. If I could share my screen, I'm going to actually talk about that issue while I demo simultaneously here. So first off, Tracy, that question comes up on every single MSP install. Nobody's documentation house is in order. But frankly, a project like this is going to kind of make that happen and improve the documentation as we go. And so, we take you as you are as a starting point, knowing that the documentation may not be perfect. What you're seeing right now, for those of you who are ConnectWise Manage users, this looks very familiar. We're in the service desk module of Manage. I'm going to open up a ticket here in our environment. And you'll see over here on the left-hand side, this is all ConnectWise Manage, PSA. On the right, we've got our integrated Rezolve.ai, Gen AI for MSP tool. And you'll see when I open up a ticket, the first thing it's going to do is run an analysis on the ticket. I got this screen pop here, and this is ticket specific. And so we got Cray-Merica Industries, and Jerry Seinfeld is our contact. There's some sort of SQL issue here. You'll notice we got this screen pop that the AI has identified this is a multi-user event, AKA outage of some kind that is affecting multiple users. We also denote here, we got a screen pop that this is a VIP contact. And so, that's important as well, that we know that this is an executive, in this case, a COO. And the AI is recommending that we escalate this ticket, and it's giving a couple of reasons why. So this is just some screen pops, some AI-driven screen pops. There's also a couple of others that could have flagged but didn't in this case. The most interesting of which is an agreement pop-up. And so it will analyze the ticket type, it will go through the ConnectWise Manage agreement, and it will figure out whether or not the customer is entitled to the service or not. Over here in agreement, if we run a scan on the agreement, and by the way, I'm going to open this up in a larger window so it's a little bit visible. So I have this ability to screen pop this here. This may be a little bit more visible. When I click on the agreement, it's going to go through the ConnectWise agreements, and it's saying, okay, customer's entitled to this service. I can run a summary of the ticket, and it will tell me, sort of ticket status, next steps, what skills are going to be required to solve this ticket. And then also we have we'll give this just another second for the AI to finish scanning. So it's giving the engineer suggested next steps, what skills are going to be required to solve it. Now we get to the root of your question, Tracy, which is knowledge management. And so here in this portal, this is just an NLP chatbot. So it is integrated with ConnectWise, of course, so I can look up historical tickets. In this demo instance, it's also integrated with Kaseya IT Glue for documentation. And I can just say, look for previous relevant tickets and use one of these presets. I could ask for IT Glue configurations. I could ask for items in SharePoint. When I go through these, and we'll have a response here in a second from the AI chatbot, it said, look at ticket 515. This was identical to current ticket. SQL's not working, and it may give us some next steps. But you'll notice it didn't pull up anything in IT Glue. So the AI popped this button up situationally. It says create documentation ticket. I can say missing SQL config for Cray-Merica, and I can silently create a ticket in the background. It'll be tagged under this company. It'll also get tagged under the documentation ticket type. So that ticket's been created. Now this ticket can get attached to an engineer's workload when they're working for Cray-Merica next. So, we're constantly figuring out when the documentation is insufficient or inaccurate. The AI is going to determine that, and then it's going to put a ticket in the system for somebody to get assigned to fix this going forward. And by the way, in this Actions tab over here, I can generate a response to the client. I can change the tone. So if I got a technical point of contact, let's say I want to give a technical contact a detailed update. AI is going to generate that response. I can also voice to text, so I can speak my notes into the system, and then I can
Oh,
go
that's
and
cool.
create a time entry into the system. So I can say, yeah, we're going to use this response. So I can edit it and make it their own, add the time entry, put it onto the right agreement, right, and capture all of this in this interface. And by the way, there's a similar interface for mobile devices. So we've got a lot of this functionality built into mobile as well. Does that help, Tracy?
That is really helpful. And that's really cool. I wanted to ask you about voice because people, are on the go. Sometimes they don't really want to get into a system to log their notes or track their time. So, having anything where they can just do one click or be able to, make those edits to voice, that would be really cool. So thanks for pointing that out.
Absolutely.
So, we went through quite a few features. If you were to summarize in terms of for engineers, we talked about how it would save 10 to 15 minutes of clerical work. Screen pops helps identify that there's a multi-user event. So, that gets the ticket to be escalated. So why would someone use this?
Yeah. So, number one, the use case for implementing the Rezolve.ai, when we call this the engineer applications, the engineer application, it's very low time to value. And I think that's critical. We hear in the industry now about so many AI projects, so many bot projects that take months and months, if not a year, to deploy. And about the numbers anecdotally are not good for the quantity of projects that are actually successful. You get a year down the road and, it's not demonstrating the value. So, for us, it was very important to deliver value quickly. And this integrated application, it's a product, not a platform. You don't have to build it from scratch. This is something that can get installed in a couple of weeks and go. It gets trained on all of your data. It's a low risk project in that you don't have to leave ConnectWise Manage to avail yourselves to all of these features, right? It's integrated right in and works seamlessly. This pod interface, by the way, we call this the engineer pod because it is, if you guys are ConnectWise users, this interface over here on the right is the pod interface. And so we can meet engineers where they are, where they work today. And I think it's really, really important because, you don't necessarily want to retool and give the engineers a new tool. Now, we started off, Tracy, with a product. If I log in here, you'll see now this is the same data that we saw before. Okay, so if we are here, we're in ConnectWise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just so that you guys can see that there's no Wizard of Oz hidden man behind the curtain. You can see all these ticket numbers over here. If we go back into the app, they're the same ticket numbers over here. So this is pulling live data. This is all ConnectWise data. This application here is a little bit more feature rich, but essentially does a lot of the same things. And so if you're an engineer here and you're working on the ticket, there's a couple things that I would point out to you. Since we're operating in a much larger interface in this beautiful React application, it's a native React latest gen application. For example, when I'm working on a ticket and I click on this second screen button, a lot of the AI tools that we saw before in the pod appear here in a second screen. So this is a complete window. You can see here that I'm moving it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Engineer can move this to a second screen. Every engineer's got 2, 3, 4 flat panels, right, sitting on their desk, and they can work on the ticket here. So they have enterprise search, again, to IT glue, IT to SharePoint, whatever the case may be. I'm going to click, what's the quickest way to resolve this over here? While I'm doing that, I'm looking at the ticket sentiment here, and I'm scanning what's going on. You'll notice here that I also get screen pops in the web version of this. So it's telling me this is a multi-user kind of event. I've got all my next steps here of what to do. Client environment, this module over here. If I'm unfamiliar with the customer environment, AI has generated sort of an overview. Okay, so I know a little bit about the environment. It's a 20-user environment. They got some remote work. The point of contact here is Marty McFly. It's telling me the tech stack here. So they got SAP running, a file server, Adobe Creative Suite. It's also telling me what they commonly call in about. So, I've got this work panel over here that's essentially going to help me. Also in this interface, if I click on attributes and I click on edit, the AI is going to essentially tell me if it's got the priority right, the call severity. In this case, it's saying switch the severity down to low. It's only a documentation request, that sort of thing. It's got the ticket classification right as being documentation. So there's just all sorts of tools here that the engineer can use to help them solve the problem more quickly. If I click on this fancy 3-star icon, it's going to give me a ticket summary. So I don't have to read all of these ticket notes. So in this ticket here, a phishing email was detected. A security scan has been completed. Waiting for engineer response. After the security scan completes, these are the actions that are taken. So you can see, Tracy, the benefit to all of this, frankly, is all of the time that we save the engineer. If I click here, add a note, I can auto-gen a note, I can attach a file, I can record a voice note, but you'll see also that it's capturing the time entry automatically. So it knows I've had this ticket open for 4 hours and 4 minutes and 11 seconds, right? So I can capture that, stop and fill the time. So, I think we're doing really important work here because essentially if we can shave, even if it's 10, 15, 20 minutes off of the admin side of the house, like ticket type, ticket subtype, categorization, prioritization, capturing time entries, making the note process of creating really quality notes and putting them into the system. If we can automate all that and use AI to automate all that, that's, time savings that's going to be applicable to every single interaction, every single ticket interaction. Then if we can use things like enterprise search, hitting documentation, hitting historical tickets, finding patterns in the past, how did a colleague resolve this problem before, and how can I apply that to the issue that I'm working on today? All of these things have a material and magnifying effect. And so, the primary use case is empowering your staff, empowering your engineers, because you guys have good data. It's just not necessarily visible. It's sitting in SharePoint, processes, procedures. You've got different automations or checklists that can be brought to bear. We're leveraging AI to find all of that and historical context to solve problems more rapidly.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for showing us all of that, Matt. And I think that's it, all the time we have for today for the agent side of the app. So, and see you in the next session.